Hi there. Today we are learning about 3D objects. We are going to look at the objects, learn the names of the 3D objects, see what the nets look like, count the numbers of faces of the shapes, and identify the shapes of the faces. A 3D object is a shape that has 3 dimensions. It has length, it has width, and it has depth. Let's have a look at the 3D objects, shall we? Our first 3D object is the cube. Do you see the shapes which make up the cube? We know that a cube is the 3-dimensional form of squares, and as we can see, it is in the shape of a square. To make a cube, we need to know what the net of the cube is. A net is the 2-dimensional or flat pattern of a 3-dimensional shape that you get when you unfold it and lay it out on a flat surface. It shows all the faces of the 3D object, and it can be folded to reconstruct the original solid object. This is a net of a cube. There are many ways to draw a net for a 3D object, and this is only one of the many ways you can draw a net for a cube. Can you think of any other ways to draw the net of a cube? Maybe you should try some other ways after the video. We can count how many faces a shape has simply by counting the shapes of the net. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our cube has 6 faces. Next, let's see what the shapes of the faces are of a cube. All we need to do to determine the shapes of the faces is to look at the net and identify the shapes. Can you see what shapes these are? Let's see. It's a 2-dimensional shape. It has 4 equal sides. Equal sides mean that the length of each side is exactly the same. Do you have it? Yes, it's a square. A cube has 6 faces, and the shape of all 6 faces are squares. Our next object is a rectangular prism. The rectangular prism is just a little different than a cube. As we know, cubes have 4 equal sides, but rectangles have 2 pairs of equal sides. A rectangular prism is a 3D shape with 6 flat faces that are all rectangles. Let's count the number of faces of our rectangular prism. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again. Let's try and see what the shapes of the faces are. Can you identify the shape? Of course you can. These are rectangles. A rectangular prism has 6 faces, and the shapes of these faces are rectangles. Are you ready for the next object? Here we go. Our next object is the triangular prism. This time, let's see if you can count the number of faces without my help. It's getting easier, isn't it? Now, let's identify the shapes of the faces. Look at the net of the triangular prism. Do you see the shapes? Yes, the shapes are rectangles and triangles. So, a rectangular prism has 5 faces, and the shapes of these faces are rectangles and triangles. Let's make it a little harder now. A prism is a 3D object with 2 identical and parallel ends, called bases. Identical ends mean that we will not have different shapes on the opposite sides. If we have a triangle on the one side, the opposite side also has a triangle. The 2 shapes, that are the bases for our prisms, have flat sides that connect them. The shape of the base gives the prism its name, so a prism with triangle bases is a triangular prism, and one with rectangle bases is a rectangular prism. What would we call a prism that has pentagons for bases? It's called a pentagonal prism. Here is what the net looks like for the pentagonal prism. Remember that a pentagon is a shape that has 5 sides. This means that the one pentagon will be connected by the other pentagon with 5 flat sides, the 5 faces that connect the 2 pentagons. Can you add up the faces by yourself? Yes, a pentagonal prism has 7 faces. Do you know what the shapes of these faces are? You're getting it. The shapes of these faces are pentagons and rectangles. Well done! See if you can do the following prisms by yourself. Here we go. We have a hexagonal prism. What do you think the net looks like? Like this? Do you see that the net of this hexagonal prism looks different? That's because there are many ways to draw the net of an object. Do you know how many faces the hexagonal prism has? A hexagon has 6 sides, so it needs to have 6 connecting sides and the 2 bases. 6 plus 2 equals 8. Did you get that right? What are the shapes of the faces? You are brilliant. The shapes are hexagons and rectangles. What do you call a shape that has 7 sides? Do you know this one? I like to call it a heptagon, but another name for the heptagon is a septagon. Here we have the heptagonal prism. And here is an example of what a net for a heptagon can look like. How many faces does the heptagon have? Remember, there are 7 flat surfaces connecting the 2 heptagons, and this means that it is 7 plus the 2 bases, which is 9. What are the shapes of the faces? Of course, heptagons and rectangles. Are you ready for the last prism? Our last prism, which can be associated with an octopus. It's an octagonal prism. Imagine what a net could look like for the octagonal prism. Now, do the math in your head. What are the number of faces of an octagonal prism? Yes, it's 8 plus 2, which equals 10. And? What are the shapes of the faces? Now, it's easy. It is octagons and rectangles. Do you know what a pyramid is? A pyramid is a 3-dimensional shape with a polygonal base and triangular faces that meet at a single point. This means that the sides of a 2-dimensional shape are triangles and the triangles connect to each other. Let's do the first one together. Here is a triangular pyramid. The triangular pyramid has a triangle base and the sides are also triangles. This is an example of a net of a triangular pyramid. Do you see how many faces the triangular pyramid has? Yes, there are 4 faces. What about the shapes of the faces? Easy. All of the faces are triangles. You can create any type of pyramid with any polygon. For example, the square-based pyramid. This is an example of a square-based pyramid's net. It has 5 faces, and the shapes of the faces are a square and triangles. Here are some more examples of types of pyramids. There is the pentagonal pyramid, then we have a hexagonal pyramid, of course also the heptagonal pyramid and the 8-sided octagonal pyramid. Lastly, I want to show you a different pyramid. This one is the rectangular pyramid. Its base is a rectangle, and the sides are all still triangles, but because the sides of the rectangles have different lengths, the triangles also have different sizes. Look at the net of the rectangular pyramid. Do you see that there are 2 pairs of triangles? A rectangular pyramid is a 3D object with a base shaped like a rectangle and triangle-shaped faces that correspond to each side of the base. The number of faces are also 5, just like the square-based pyramid, and the shapes of the faces are a rectangle and triangles, even if the sizes of the triangles are different. Thank you for watching and learning. Please give us a like and a follow. Until next time, goodbye.